Coming up on Network Africa, Tigray rebels accuse Ethiopia's government of massive offensive in the northern region as the blame game continues. A bomb explosion kills 3 people in the Somali capital of Mogadishu. Plus, lawyers for the chairperson of Kenya's Electoral Commission say the commission follows the law in delivering the results of August election. Hello and warm welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Ethiopia, where forces in the Tigray region are accusing the government and its allies from neighboring Eritrea of launching massive offensives in the northwest of the region. Well, a day earlier, the Ethiopian government said the Tigrayans were expanding the fighting along the country's borders with Sudan. Well, despite international calls for an end to the renewed violence, both the government and forces have traded accusations. Fighting in Ethiopia has spread to several fronts since a 5-month humanitarian ceasefire was shattered a week ago. A top official for the Tigrayan forces says new offensives have been launched against them from 4 different directions. However, it's not possible to verify these claims as a result of a communication gap. Although both sides say they would welcome a peace resolution to Ethiopia's civil war, that hasn't stopped the guns from firing. In the meantime, the UK's Africa Minister, Vicky Ford, says the return of fighting in Ethiopia's civil war is catastrophic for the people of Ethiopia. According to Ms. Ford, the renewed conflict risks deepening the already dire humanitarian situation. 22 months since fighting first began, it is clear that there is no military solution. While there had been some hope that a 5-month truce would have opened the way for peace negotiations, the British minister said Tigrayans should stop fighting in the neighboring Amhara region and Eritrean forces should leave Tigray and the federal government should urgently restore services to Tigray. Well, in Somalia, at least 3 people have been killed and 7 others wounded when mortar bombs fired at areas near the Somali presidential palace hit residential homes in the capital, Mogadishu. Local media reports that at least 3 mortars were fired on Bonhere and Hamarewan districts after Thursday morning prayers. One of the mortars is said to have killed 3 and wounded 3 others in Casa Italia neighborhood in the city. No group has claimed responsibility for this, but Al-Shabaab militants have in the past shelled areas in the city near the presidential palace. The humanitarian coordinator in South Sudan, Sarah Besolo Inyati, has led a field mission to Adediang and Malakal in the Upper Nile state of South Sudan, with thousands of people displaced due to the recent fighting in Tonga. Well, heavy fighting between armed factions erupted mid-August in Tonga town and neighboring areas in Panyekang County in the country, forcing vulnerable population, predominantly women and children, to flee in different directions, leaving their belongings behind.
We can do something about the ones who might be separated, they are somewhere else. We will try. I was just speaking with colleagues now. They are working together to look at how we can start to trace the children, to find out how we can match them with their mothers, because even some children, I'm told, are here who their parents are not here. So trying to find the parents and the children. For all the people you see around you, all of them are working for us to get supplies here to help them.
Over 200 soldiers have died during the training at various camps in South Sudan prior to the graduation of the first batch of the unified forces. First Vice President Riek Machar made this known at the graduation ceremony in the capital, Juba, where he said soldiers succumbed to harsh weather conditions and other factors. The majority of those who died were from the former rebel groups, the Sudan People's Liberation Army in opposition, SPLOIO, and the South Sudan Opposition Alliance, SSOA.
It was a bright and sunny day in South Sudan's capital, Juba, as dignitaries and communities came together to mark a long-awaited step forward in the ongoing peace process here, the graduation of the first batch of the necessary unified forces. A key benchmark contained within the revitalized peace agreement of 2018, this development takes place on the heels of the agreement on a roadmap by all parties on 3rd of August and is symbolic of a collective commitment to peace.
It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you on this occasion of the graduation of the first batch of the necessary unified forces. As a witness signatory of the revitalized agreement and a peace partner, the United Nations congratulates the parties and the transitional government for giving life to this commitment to create a single national defense apparatus under civilian government authority.
The graduation of the necessary unified forces is an initial step in a complex but essential process of constructing a national army and other organized forces. Critically, it is vital to ensure a durable peace in the world's youngest nation.
A unified defense force is one of the most visible and meaningful expressions of national unity, especially in societies emerging from conflict. Its establishment will, on account of its inclusivity and diverse representation, symbolize the national identity of South Sudan, not a partial, regional or tribal mechanism. But the necessary unified forces will not merely be an important symbol. It will be an active contributor to national peace.
The event was attended by President of the Republic of South Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Sovereignty Council of the Republic of Sudan, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, and representatives of member states from the region and the international community.
The lawyers for the chairperson of Kenya's Electoral Commission have mounted a spirited defense at the Supreme Court hearing on the challenges to the presidential election result. Chairperson Wafula Chebukati had been accused of violating the Constitution and electoral law during the declaration of the election results. While appearing before a 7-judge bench, lawyers told the court that Mr. Chebukati was mandated by law to announce the results. They described the petition challenging Mr. Chebukati as a witch hunt and full of speculation because no evidence had been presented to support the allegations. Well, while admitting that there might have been a few errors, the Electoral Commission lawyers insist that the election was conducted according to Kenyan law and there was no sufficient grounds to warrant a nullification of the results. However, they are asking that the petition be dismissed. As the inaugural Africa, Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum begins in Bridgetown, Barbados, organizers and participants are hoping to see increased business and strategic relationship between the Caribbean and African COU countries. Well, the global head, client relations, Afrexim Bank, Rene Awabeng, and the chief executive officer of Invest Barbados, Kaye Ann Greenidge, are optimistic on the impacts the forum will exert on participants. ACTIF 2022 has as its theme, One People, One Destiny, Uniting and Reimagining Our Future.
The Caribbean is very important to us at the African Export-Import Bank and to the African Union. What we are trying to achieve here is to foster trade between Africa and the Caribbean. We have a long history with the Caribbeans. We see them as part of our African continent. The objective of the Afrexim Bank Caribbean Trade Investment Forum is actually to identify business linkages between Africa and the Caribbean, to try to build a platform of trade, to try to look at investments between Africa, to look at intra-regional trade between Africa and the Caribbean. What we expect as outcomes is to sign partnerships, to sign agreements, to build the African Caribbean Trade Promotion Council, to establish a subsidiary of the African Export-Import Bank here in the Caribbean, to get the Caribbean countries community to participate in the equity shareholding of the African Export-Import Bank, and to grow global trade between Africa and the Caribbean.
We thought that it is high time that we really bring back Africa and the Caribbean together. There are two regions which naturally were together in the beginning, but somehow we've been able to spread apart. And we now think it is time to form those linkages. There's so much likeness between the two continents, and it's high time we built a more south-to-south cooperation. And what time better than now? We keep talking about it, but we needed to put action to the top and make sure that this happens. So we say, why now? Because why not? Well, you know, we had the inaugural CARICOM and Africa Heads Conference last year in September, and actually, this is actually one of the strategic objectives coming out of the conference, to bring a business forum with business people from both regions together in one location so we can have those conversations.
To health matters now. Aspen Pharmacare has signed a deal with the Serum Institute of India to manufacture and sell 4 Aspen-branded vaccines for Africa. Now, that's as the South African company seeks to utilize its near-idle COVID-19 vaccine production lines. Shares in Aspen jumped 6% in afternoon trade on Wednesday on news of the deal, and after it posted a 31% increase in full-year profit. For the CEO, Stephen Sad says the deal gives Aspen an assured pipeline of vaccine orders for years to come. That's coming after concerns that its 450 million dose vaccine production line was being put at risk.
For years to come.
Well, the World Health Organization's Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus says the monkeypox virus can be eliminated in countries where there is no animal-to-human transmission. The WHO declared the outbreak a global health emergency in July, and so far, more than 50,000 cases of monkeypox and 16 deaths have been reported from 96 countries.
These signs confirm what we have said consistently since the beginning, that with the right measures, this is an outbreak that can be stopped. And in regions that do not have animal-to-human transmission, this is a virus that can be eliminated. We might be living with COVID-19 for the foreseeable future, but we don't have to live with monkeypox. WHO will continue to support all countries to stop this outbreak and eliminate this virus.
Well, tugboats have refloated an oil tanker that was briefly stranded in Egypt's Suez Canal late on Wednesday after a technical fault with its rudder. The Suez Canal Authority SCA said the 252-meter vessel, Affinity V, had drifted to obstruct the southern section of the canal while traveling in a southbound convoy of ships. However, after about 5 hours later, traffic is said to have returned to normal. The incident occurred in the same single-lane stretch of the canal where a giant cargo ship, the Ever Given, ran aground back in March 2021 and was stuck for 6 days, disrupting global trade. Still to come on the program. The oldest African dinosaur is discovered in Zimbabwe. This animal lived more than 230 million years ago. More details in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. We continue here in Nigeria, in Mama community in Kirikasama, local government area of Jigawa State, where farming has returned 40 years after. Well, some farmers in the community who spoke to our correspondent say flood and typhoid grass prevented them from cultivating their land until now.
Jigawa State is one of the largest crops producing states in Nigeria. According to the State Ministry of Agriculture, about 90% of its population are farmers, and it is currently the nation's largest producer of dates and hibiscus. Other agricultural products produced in the state include gum arabic, sesame, and rice. In the northeastern part, agriculture is the main trade of the people, especially in the rural communities. Marma is situated in the west of Dawa of the state. In the last 40 years, farmers here have not been able to cultivate their land as a result of flood and typhoid grass.
The government is fully committed in supporting everyone to bring everyone on board to work together in order to address the problem. So the most success in this regard is dredging of the river. That it is a teamwork collaboration between the state government and the federal government.
The efforts of the government were complemented by some large-scale farmers.
In about 45 years ago, nobody have ever stepped his leg here, because all the neighboring villages used to be overflowed during the wet season. Anytime it's July, August, everybody will evacuate their villages. Because of this very river you see here is a canal from Lake Chad Basin crossing going to Yobe State. So the river is to overflow every year and impact all the villages along this side.
Farmers are now glad that they have returned to farming, which is a means of livelihood for most of them.
We used to cultivate here, but for the last 40 years we were not able to do anything because of flood and typhoid grass. We keep on praying for divine intervention, and God answered by sending this man who helped the community.
Jigawa State is blessed with vast and arable land, and 80% of the people in the state are engaged in subsistence agriculture. Efforts in boosting agriculture can be seen as a way of job and wealth creation in the state. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Well, in Borno State, the government continues the enrollment of school-aged children into public schools in the Boko Haram-ravaged local government areas of the northern region. Well, these children are direct victims of the 13 years insurgency that has halted educational activities in that senatorial zone.
Mongono town is the headquarters of northern Borno State in northeast Nigeria and lies 133 kilometers from Maiduguri, the state capital. It comprises 8 local government areas covering the Lake Chad region, where many communities were destroyed by insurgents, resulting in the relocation of inhabitants to IDP camps. A direct result of this is that thousands of children forced from their homes were denied access to any form of education in the immediate aftermath. Many of these children have now been enrolled into schools in an exercise personally supervised by Governor Babagana Zulum.
So we are here to see how we can tackle one of the root causes of the insurgency, which is illiteracy. And that has informed the decision of Borno State government to enroll as many as possible, especially the dropouts, to school, bearing in mind that some of them they have grown up. So we decided to categorize them. There are those that will go to the normal formal educational sector, and there are those that will go to that will be enrolled into the non-formal educational sector. That means we shall enroll them into the Sangaya Islamic educational system.
In addition to the enrollment, the Borno State government is exploring ways to revive the educational system and improve the standard of education within the shortest time possible.
The most important thing that we want to do is to see how we will design a curriculum that will ensure contraction of the entire 6-year program into 2 years program. That is very important. And then we are targeting 3 main aspects: intensive literacy, intensive numeracy, and then digital literacy.
One of those hopeful of returning to school is 17-year-old Mariam Usman, who is physically challenged but expresses optimism of getting back to the classroom in spite of her challenges.
The reason I'm here is because I want to go back to school, but my parents cannot pay for my education. When the governor visited last time, he assured me he will buy me a bicycle. We have bargained for one already, but I cannot get someone to take me to him.
The Back to School program is part of the state government's post-insurgency restoration project in affected communities, a key component towards the actualization of the Zulu administration's 25-year strategic master plan.
Chief Warrant Officer Alizeta Kabore Kinda of Burkina Faso is the recipient of the 2022 United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year Award. Well, a ceremony was held in New York to honor her, during which Officer Kinda received her award from UN Peacekeeping Chief Jean-Pierre Lacroix. Well, she serves as a gender focal point with the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, MINUSMA, where she supports the Malian security forces in the Menaka region to promote and improve understanding of gender, child protection, human rights, and civil protection issues.
Let me start by congratulating the winner of this year, 2022 United Nations Women Police Award, Chief Warrant Officer Alizeta Kabore Kinda of Burkina Faso. So by serving as a role model and as a leader for her fellow police officers and members of the community, Officer Kinda is really an inspiration to all of us. Her work also shows what can be accomplished when we support and empower our women police officers.
I am happy and proud to stand before you to receive this exceptional award. I am very grateful that my work in MINUSMA and in Menaka region is valued and recognized. I am honored that my efforts have been rewarded beyond my expectations. I am pleased that despite the terrorist threats, the IEDs and rocket attacks, the efforts of my colleagues and myself are receiving accolades. More than anything, I am happy that I have invested in what I love most, contributing to women's capacity building. Today, I am receiving this award, but I am convinced that all female officers can be nominated as well. I tell them to have faith, excel, and persevere in what they do. This award makes me a United Nations ambassador for peace and promotion of gender. I promise to hold the torch high by continuing to honor the United Nations through my work and my daily commitment.
The International Monetary Fund has approved a $1.3 billion, a 38-month loan program to Zambia. Or the southern African country has suffered, just like many other countries, at the hands of economic mismanagement and COVID-19. Well, in 2020, it became the first pandemic-era sovereign default, buckling under a debt burden of more than 120% of GDP. Well, in late July, creditors, led by France and China, pledged to renegotiate Zambia's debts. That was welcomed by the IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, as clearing the way for the new IMF program.
In late July, creditors led by France and China.
A U.S. Catholic nun who was kidnapped by armed men in April in Burkina Faso has been freed, and that's according to the bishop of the local northeast diocese of Kaya. Bishop Theophile Nare says Sister Sulen Tennyson is currently in a safe place and in good health. The 83-year-old was taken hostage from a local parish in the middle of the night, leaving behind her glasses and blood pressure medication. Till date, the identity of the kidnappers is not known. However, several militant groups are known to have carried out attacks in Burkina Faso. Well, Bishop Nare says he does not have any information on the circumstances leading to Sister Solon's release, the FBI had put out a missing persons notice after her kidnapping in April. And finally, on the program, a rare 1-meter-long dinosaur skeleton unearthed in northern Zimbabwe has been confirmed as the oldest dinosaur find in Africa. The research published in the journal Nature on Wednesday says that the plant-eating, two-legged creature was alive around 230 million years ago, dating from what's known as the Triassic Early Dinosaur Age. Well, it was named after the fossil-rich Imbiri district where it was found. The dinosaur was an early ancestor of the sauropods, the better-known large, long-necked, four-legged dinosaurs. According to the Deputy Director of National Museums and Monuments in Zimbabwe, he says the discovery is a rare find. And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nayo Olarin.